Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
John, Ronnie, Jean Charles is back in court with his legal team.
Angry parents and guardians flock here to the Garventines Primary School. We'll tell you why.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Deputy Director of the Bahamas Crisis Center, Donna Nichols, is calling for Michael MP Miriam Emanuel to step down in the wake of her controversial comments, which seem to suggest that it is okay for a man to manhandle his wife in certain circumstances. While commending the House Speaker for suspending Anglican MP Glenys Hannah Martin on Wednesday, Emanuel said in Parliament, if a woman wants to come up in her husband's face and behave like she is a man, then she would get manhandled. Emanuel also said her father told his 10 daughters that if their husbands shook them, slapped them, or punched them in the mouth, he would analyze what caused their husband to take such action. Nichols says Emanuel has betrayed women and needs sensitivity training.
For Ms. Emanuel to speak to and condone violence within a marriage really says to me that she does not have the interest of women at heart. She is stuck in the 15th century perhaps, and she has to understand that she represents all the citizens of the Bahamas.
Following swift and severe backlash on social media, Emanuel issued a statement last evening. Though she apologized for her comments, the Michael MP insisted they were taken out of context. Nichols says the Bahamas Crisis Center does not accept the MP's attempt at an apology.
She has to study the Constitution, because if she studied the Constitution, she could understand that violence against women is a crime. And third thing, I think she should step down. She has betrayed women. She has betrayed us by that statement, by condoning violence in a relationship.
The Crisis Center is a non-profit organization that has served as a source of refuge for hundreds of victims of domestic violence. Nichols says there remains a high level of violence in the community. She scoffed at Emanuel's suggestion that her comments were misunderstood.
No, I think that's something that she believes. And if that's a scenario that she believes, then she does need some sensitization. And maybe she should step down and get some sensitization. But I'm very, 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 very disappointed.
After Supreme Court Justice Gregory Hilton previously ordered their release from the Carmichael Road Detention Center, Hilton today ruled that 6 former detainees were unlawfully detained. He also awarded the majority of the former detainees court costs. The rulings come as their outspoken attorney Fred Smith QC today fired back at critics who have accused him of being an enemy of the state. Jasmine Brown reports.
In court today, Hilton ordered their release after determining in each case that the applicants were unlawfully detained in contravention of the Immigration Act. Hilton handed down rulings in the cases of Jamaican national Ricardo Johnson, Haitian national Merlene Corville, Reginald Raymondville, Fanel Gassan, Bahamas-born Emmanuel Simeon, and Bahamas-born William O'Neill. Some of those applicants were in court today. The group had been provisionally released last December upon writs of habeas corpus filed by their attorney Fred Smith QC. In each of those rulings, Hilton acknowledged that while their status was in question because the applicants were never charged with a crime before a court, their continued detainment at the Carmichael Road Detention Center was unlawful. In his rulings, Hilton said the Immigration Act does not give the executive carte blanche to detain a person without a trial on the suspicion, even a reasonable one, that the person has landed in the Bahamas illegally. Outside court, Smith called the rulings a victory for his clients and their legal team.
Justice Hilton is merely repeating, for the benefit of the government again, that the Bahamas is governed by the rule of law. And there is an Immigration Act, there is a Criminal Procedure Code, and there is a Constitution, which says everybody is presumed innocent, and you cannot simply hold people indefinitely, either at Fox Hill or the detention center, without charging them with an offense.
He added that it also validates the work of Rights Bahamas.
This is about everybody's freedom, not the freedom of these people only in particular.
Meanwhile, Smith vigorously defended himself against those who have questioned his nationality and loyalty to the Bahamas.
A lot of people savage me on social media and say I'm a traitor and I'm a seditionist and I'm looking out for Haitians. I ain't no Haitian. I'm a Bahamian. I only have a Bahamian passport, never had any other passport. I fight for rights in the Bahamas so the Bahamas does not become a little petty fascist dictatorship like Haiti. That is why Rights Bahamas fights for everybody's rights, not for Haitians, not for foreigners, not for anybody except due process and the right to be treated equally as an innocent person in the Bahamas.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the much-anticipated Jean Charles hearing did not go on as expected today, as lawyers from the Attorney General's office and the Bahamas-born man asked to have the matter stood down. Moments after proceedings began, attorneys for both sides told Supreme Court Justice Gregory Hilton that they needed more time to hash out an agreement to fast-track the matter to the Court of Appeal. John Charles's lawyer, Fred Smith QC, explained outside court.
As Mr. Lauren Klein, the lead counsel for the Attorney General, indicated, we are trying to work out the terms of an agreement to get Mr. Gene Roney's case heard by the Court of Appeal as quickly as possible, because it is very important for these issues to be determined by the courts.
Jean Charles was released from the custody of immigration authorities on Monday pending a hearing of an application to stay his ruling made in this matter last week Tuesday. After hearing from attorneys from both sides, Justice Hilton adjourned the matter to tomorrow afternoon. John Charles was picked up by immigration authorities last September, held at the Comerico Detention Center, and eventually deported to Haiti. His attorney said it was his first time leaving the Bahamas. He returned to the Bahamas on Saturday after the Foreign Affairs Minister issued him a travel document. The move was in line with the judge's ruling, which also ordered the government to grant him status to live in the Bahamas once he makes an application. Well, following the dramatic suspension of the entire opposition team from the House of Assembly yesterday, their colleagues in the Senate boycotted proceedings in the upper chamber today. Leader of opposition business in the Senate, Fred Mitchell, said in a statement that senators representing the PLP withdrew from Senate proceedings this morning and will not return until all 4 PLP members of Parliament are reinstated in their rightful place in the House of Assembly. Moments after the House voted to suspend Anglican MP Glennis Santa Martin for 2 consecutive sittings, the House Speaker suspended the remaining 3 opposition members, Philip Brave Davis, Chester Cooper, and Picewell Forbes, after they refused to take their seats and stormed out. During a news conference at PLP headquarters, Davis took grave exception to Halson Moultrie's personal jabs at his marriage, as well as his assertion that Davis allows reprobates and perverts who deny and hate women to have input in his press statements.
The Speaker is a buffoon who does not know. Who does not know what he is doing and doesn't know what that he does not know what he's doing. He is unprincipled and disgraceful. The Speaker is nothing but a bullying buffoon.
During a 40-minute communication from the chair, Moultrie asserted that his wife is Bahamian and he has never had to divorce her, a clear dig at Davis.
I do not think much of a man who attacks another's wife.
That's right. Exactly. That's right.
That man is a sniveling coward. From the chair, he shows his lack of intelligence. He shows that he's unfit for the office that he occupies.
In other news, a woman has been charged with defrauding the company she once worked for out of $180,000. Today, she and 3 men had their day in court. 37-year-old Shaquania Thompson, the sole female of the group, was arraigned on 21 counts before Magistrate Supersola Swain Thursday afternoon, including falsification of accounts, possession of false documents, and conspiracy to commit fraud. It is alleged that between May 5, 2016 and December of that year, Thompson, while serving as a corporate services supervisor at HLB Galanis & Co. with the intent to commit fraud, made false entries into records at Galanis & Co. accounts, which she was required to maintain. She pleaded not guilty to the charges. 50-year-old Anderson Moxie in the green shirt and khaki pants was hit with 33 counts, including possession of a false document and fraud by false pretenses. He is accused of possessing checks and receiving cash from First Caribbean International Bank. So was 43-year-old Jeremy Scott in the aqua shirt. He was hit with 9 counts, including possession of a false document and conspiracy to commit fraud by false pretenses. There was also 55-year-old Randolph Smith of Cable Beach in the beige shirt and pants. He was charged with conspiracy to commit fraud by false pretenses and uttering a false document. All 3 men and the woman pleaded not guilty to the alleged fraud scheme, which included checks ranging in amount from $1,500 to over $20,000 a time. They were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections and denied bail. However, they can apply for bail in the Supreme Court. They will return to Magistrates Court number 5 on Valentine's Day. Well, parents of students attending Garventines Primary School showed up at the campus today, pulling their children out of classes and demanding answers following reports of suspected tuberculosis cases in the school. This comes one day after teachers' union officials say they were denied access. Georgia Bain has the details.
As news spread via social media, concerned parents flocked here to the Garventines Primary School to collect their children over concerns about MAN-2 screening and tests being carried out here at the school. Irate parents filed through the entrance gate to meet with the school's nurse and faculty members over reports of TB cases. 45 minutes later, they began leaving the Garventines campus, most of them with their children. These parents say they are not prepared to take any risks and will be taking their children to get tested privately.
And we're still not getting information. Everything is sketchy here and there. Why is it the whole school was informed of what was going on? You know, we have kids in contact. You don't know who plays with who in the school through the course of the day. So why would you say, you know, you have to be in contact with this person face to face for 8 hours to contract something? You don't know who plays with what. You don't know who hand is in the mouth. You don't know who sneezes in somebody's faces. So tuberculosis is serious.
This parent, who identified herself as Miss McKinney, says her daughter is in the same class as a student suspected of having a positive MAN-2 test. She pulled her daughter out of class and was shocked to find out that her daughter was tested without her permission.
It came out negative, but you know, with all of the disarray that's going on and stuff like that, I don't think it's really conducive for the child. So I just decided to just take her out of school until they get everything cleared up and she could just come back to school.
When were you notified, given that she is in the class with these?
I just found out from my sister today.
Other parents say they simply do not appreciate being kept in the dark on such a serious matter.
They sent 15 children was in the school that was infected. So that's why I came. And then I overheard the media saying the same thing. It was teachers and students. But they were saying that it wasn't nobody infected, just one child. But then they were saying it wasn't. So we're not sure yet. So they said, most of our parents were saying that we wanted the children to get tested, but they can't really say that. So they are now waiting on the nurse to come and get answers.
First I heard it was like 9 people infected, confirmed, but I just can't take no chance of my daughter. The more chances she stays in the school, the better chance for her getting infected. So I'd rather take her out and wait until Monday when they find some result of what's going on. But until then, my child will not be here.
Are you going to take her to get tested?
Most definitely.
I'm not satisfied with what's being said, and that because the information is still sketchy.
So you're not going to bring your child to school tomorrow?
No, I'm not bringing my child to school tomorrow, and my child is going to the clinic on Monday to have a MAN-2 test.
Senior police officers were also back on the school's campus today. Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands and Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd also visited the school in an attempt to alleviate the fears of parents. According to Sands, their reaction was the result of fake news.
There was a posting that said that there was an outbreak of tuberculosis at Garventines Primary. And you could imagine that has created hysteria among the parents. How could this be? And nobody would have said anything, and my children at risk. For the record, there is no outbreak of TB at Garventines Primary.
As for those parents who raise concerns about their children being tested without their permission, according to Sands, there is no law stating that permission is required to test students.
In general, we will get permission from the parent to test. But the laws allow testing without consent.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Still to come on our news, the labor minister vows that all shanty towns will soon be gone, plus shortlisted companies hoping to manage the New Providence landfill revealed. Stay tuned.